Morning you guys, it's Karen. I thought I would come and give you an update on Watson, tell you what's happening with him and tell you about a scary incident we had. We have had the results back firstly, and it is not another mast cell tumour that was removed. So that is just hallelujah. I'm so happy. I do of course feel terrible that we put him through this for something that is just a nothing. It's just a nondescript lump basically, and I'm like, you know, I hate the fact that I've put him through this surgery and it isn't anything serious, but we didn't know, you know. They tried to take a sample, they couldn't get a sample, and so there was nothing else to do but remove it. So he hasn't recovered as well this time as he has in past operations and past surgeries, but the last 2 days and today he is, I would say, 90% back to himself finally. I mean, it was only a week and a half ago he had the surgery, but normally like within 2 days he was sort of back to himself, you know, 2 or 3 days. And this wound was smaller than the other two, so we weren't expecting a worse recovery, but there was screaming that happened in the first couple of days. That was, both Kev and I were saying, we cannot get the sound out of our heads. I don't mean he would yelp, I don't mean he would cry, because he did do that as well, but he was screaming. It started on the Saturday. We were in the car and he was in the back seat, and normally I'll open the window and he climbs on top of me to have a look out the window and I hold him. It's only when we're going really slow. And he went to do that, but obviously the action of putting his arm up, because the scar is under his arm, just hurt, and he started screaming and running around the car, and he was sort of screaming at the wound, because he obviously, dogs, I think they think it's on them, and it's like screaming at it to get off, and you know, it was just hideous. We pulled over and it continued for, I don't know, it was probably only 10 seconds or so, but it felt like forever, you know, and we were like, oh my God, what the hell? And I'm like, oh, well, at least he won't do that again. So anyway, we drove on and he did it again. He tried to get up again to the window, and I was like, this is just ludicrous. He's obviously not self-limiting, you know, and did the whole screaming thing again. And he did it 2 more times then, and it was when we were back at home, when somebody knocked on the door, he leapt up and raced to the door. And that action again caused him pain, and he was just screaming, but he didn't stop running. He was just running and screaming. It was just awful, just awful. So I was really stressed about that, because we had contractors coming in and I'm like, how am I going to keep him calm, you know? But it seemed to be much better by the sort of Monday, Tuesday. We even talked about getting a crate he's got a crate, but we've taken the door off many years ago because Watson hated being in a crate. He would like bite the bars and, you know, risk breaking his teeth. So that would have been a last resort, but we said, no, that's just not going to work, because he'll get himself so worked up in the crate anyway, you know. It didn't work out too bad with the contractors. I just made sure I was next to Watson at all times when I knew the contractors would come in, so that I could hold him back from running, you know. So he seemed to get a lot better on the sort of Tuesday, and then Wednesday he seemed to go downhill again, and not in terms of pain, but more, he wasn't really fussed for his food. He didn't want to walk. He was drinking a ton of water. He was peeing a lot. Kev wasn't here at this point, and I was like I took him out for his last wee at night, say 10:30. We came back in, I took his collar off, hung it up, and then he come and nosed me and was like, nosed his lead again, like I need to go out again. So wow, so we went out again, you know. It was like that. I feel like I was out every hour. So I actually took him to the doctors. I took him to the vet on Wednesday afternoon, and she tested his urine, which she said was a little bit concentrated, and there was one of the levels were high, so she took some blood, and there was a liver enzyme that was a little bit too high, but it was one that was high before his surgery, but it was not as high as before his surgery, if you see what I mean. So it wasn't anything. She thinks it was behavioural. She says, I think that, well, a combination of the tramadol that he was on, the surgery that he'd had, but the fact that Kev wasn't here, which really throws Watson, because he's not very often away. He's been away like twice in the 7 years we've had Watson, overnight that is. The kitchen people, you know, there being strange people in his house, just having had surgery, all of that together, plus the feeling of the tramadol, she thinks that was what contributed. And the fact that it was hot as well, it was very, very hot, and I wasn't allowing him to go in water. He wasn't allowed to get any water on his wound, and that's the one thing he does to cool down when it's hot, you know. So I think all of that just made him out of sorts. But like I said, at the weekend he started perking up. I started reducing his tramadol. I just was giving him a quarter of a tablet instead of a half, and so on and so forth, and he's just got better and better since then. So he's much better today. In the middle of all this, he nearly got attacked by a Staffie. A Staffie kind of went for him, and it was horrendous, absolutely horrendous. The worst situation with Watson I've been in, because it's kind of one of my worst fears. And I'd seen the Staffie coming towards us. We were in there wasn't anywhere I could run to. I couldn't go in anybody's garden. We were at this little park that went onto a lighthouse and the sea. And I heard the guy shouting, be good to the dog. And it was a really big, powerful Staffie. And he came up to Watson and stood over him, was completely stiff and started growling. And I was like, shit, we're in trouble here, and I do not know what to do. And I was trying to think, like, will I knee him out of the way? Will I try and step between them? But he was sort of side on to Watson. And I thought, whatever I do is just going to antagonise the situation. And so he did then kind of go to snap, and Watson threw his body out of the way, which was great. And the guy had got there at that point and kind of got hold of him, but he had no collar on. That's why I knew he was going to be trouble, because there was not even a collar. And to me, that's not a responsible owner. The guy then started having a go at his dog, and he's dragged him away and then let him go. I mean, I don't know. I just don't understand. I mean, couldn't have put him on lead because he didn't have a collar. So Watson and I walked away. I was so shaken up by it, because of what could have happened. And honestly, I think the reason a fight didn't happen is because Watson didn't react. Watson just stood there. It's almost like he knew, this dog's got an issue and I'm not going to react to it. Like, the dog growled at him and Watson didn't growl back. He just stood there. And I think any other dog that would have reacted scared, or maybe not scared, I don't know, but certainly if a dog had reacted and growled back, I think there would have been a fight and it would have been hideous. So bless him, Watson is the warrior in this, as always. He knew exactly what to do, and he didn't seem bothered by it at all. I think, yeah, he just took it in his stride. But it was me, I was shaking, and I was like literally running home then, because we could have bumped into him again the way that we needed to get home. I didn't know which route he was going to take. But on the way back home, I saw two other people with dogs. One of them had a puppy. And so I was saying to them, be careful, because I don't know whether he's still there, but up there is an aggressive Staffie, not on lead, not on collar, blah, blah, blah. Both of the people I spoke to told me that they knew the guy and that his dog had attacked. One had attacked a dog near Asda, and somebody else he'd attacked another dog as well. And so I reported it, obviously. But yeah, he's known for being an aggressive dog, and he lives around here. So I'm trying not to walk him locally as much as I can, it's a shame because it's a lovely park up there, but I just can't risk that. I just absolutely can't risk that. I've bought a pet spray, one of these, it's just like air and a noise. It's really loud. I tested it out. But that would be if there actually was a fight, if you know what I mean. I'm not going to use that when nothing's happening. And I don't know, some dogs might just antagonise them anyway, so yeah, it was hideous. It was just awful, and it's going to take me a long time to get over it. Like I said, Watson was just the star that I think is the reason there was no fights. He didn't react. But yes, that wasn't pleasant. But like I said, good news that Watson's all recovered, or recovering from his operation. Yeah, not much else to tell you. He is hopefully just going to go back to living his best life at the moment. And that'll be that. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys are all well, and I'll speak to you again soon. Where are you off to? Just for a go down the other way. Oh, thank you.